Righto, it's time to cook up some Greek. So I'm going to show you how to make moussaka, something I hadn't made until I made this video, but I think it turned out all right. Heads up, it will be difficult if you tried to cook this recipe to complete it all in one lesson, mainly because of the time it takes to cook up the meat. So it simmers for about 30 minutes and then you actually bake the moussaka for 45 minutes. So already you're over your practical lesson. So I recommend you use this session more to get some ideas of the kind of ingredients that are used in Greek cuisine, things like eggplant, olive oil, lamb, lemon. They're really common in Greek food, so you'll be able to see them all being used today. And yeah, just use it to see what kind of techniques are used as well when Greek food is prepared. So I char grilled the eggplant, which you'll see, which is basically kind of cooking food pretty much from dry direct heat, although I do apply some oil to the pan, and also baking. So use it as an opportunity to see what kind of techniques are being used. So I want to give you a bit of an introduction as well to the history of immigration to Australia from Greece. So Greeks have been establishing new lives, particularly in Victoria, since the gold rush of the 1850s, not this century. So many Greeks were among the sailors who left their English ships in Australian waters when they heard the discovery of gold. And many of them intended to return home, so a few women came to join them. It says here, if I'm reading from the Museum Victoria website, that by 1871 there were still only 19 Greek-born women in Victoria and 127 men. But after the gold decline, those who stayed found work in restaurants, cafes and shops. So you can already see the potential for Greek influence in cuisine by the roles that they were taking in society. They continued to come out to Australia and particularly to Melbourne with the establishment of the Greek Orthodox Church in 1897. And the first Greek language newspaper was issued in 1913. After World War II in particular, there was a civil war and 160,000 Greeks came to Australia and they mostly went to Victoria. So they mostly found work in factories and farms and often had to settle for manual jobs. But there's so many different groups that they contribute to, particularly in Victoria, and the population in Melbourne constitutes one of the largest Greek settlements in the world outside of Greece now. So the immigration has declined, but still from the census in 2011, there are nearly 50,000 Victorians that have been born in Greece. And there's particular areas in Melbourne, if you get the chance to travel there, that are known for Greek heritage. So places like Coburg and Preston and Doncaster, and they continue to make lots of significant contributions to Victorian life. Okay, so you see me here preparing some of the veggies for the various stages of the moussaka. So I'm cutting up the onion here first. That's going to go into the lamb mix. I'm not going to dice it all myself because I don't really like doing that. I'm going to put it in this funky contraption and let it dice it for me. You'll also see 2 eggplants there. So I'm going to thinly slice them and then they will be char grilled shortly so we can put them in our layers of the moussaka. So you can see that here. So eggplant's pretty popular in Greek food. So it's one of the reasons why I chose to cook moussaka, so I could show you one of the popular ingredients that goes into Greek food. So here I am stacking up all the eggplant that I got from those 2 eggplants. So you can see it's got a nice char grill on it. It should just give it a nice, a bit of a flavour. You'll be able to taste that when you eat the moussaka. So now we're going to make up our lamb mix. So you can see me putting in my diced onion there, and it's also got some garlic, so 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. And we've got about 800 grams of lamb mince that's going to go in as well. So once your onion and garlic is fragrant, cooked up till it's soft, which takes a couple of minutes, you put your lamb mince in and you're basically going to cook it. Probably takes about 10 minutes till it's kind of got a browner colour, which we'll see develop as we go through here. You use the wooden spoon there just to break up the mince, so obviously it doesn't come like that. It takes a little bit of time to break it up. So you're basically that's a process you're following. You're breaking up the mince, you're mixing it around with the onion and the garlic, and you're cooking it till it's reasonably brown. So we're almost there now. almost at the point where we're going to add a few more typical Greek ingredients. So you've got cinnamon there, so a teaspoon of cinnamon will go in. We'll also add half a teaspoon of ground allspice shortly. And then we'll add a can of crushed tomatoes. So it's quite similar in some respects to an Italian lasagna meat mix that you would make, or that you would layer. But it's got those different kind of flavours. So you've got cinnamon in there. It's not quite as tomatoey. So once we've kind of mixed this all through, it will simmer for about 30 minutes. So we'll bring it to the boil, which I think you'll see shortly. And then we'll just let it simmer there and let the flavours kind of develop, particularly those spices. So we'll just let that sit for a while. And it's basically until you've kind of simmered away the liquids. So while that's simmering, I'm going to make a bechamel style sauce to go on top of the moussaka once it's layered. So we're melting some butter there. It's about 75 grams. And then I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of plain flour. So your saucepan's at about a medium-high heat, and you need to be mixing this constantly at this point because otherwise you'll just get lumps of flour in your butter and you won't get a nice creamy sauce. So there you go. It's starting to look, it's still a bit lumpy, but there's some creaminess there. And then you're going to add 2 cups of milk. Once again, you're going to be stirring that pretty consistently because it doesn't take much to make it quite lumpy. And so this is kind of where we're getting to. It's starting to look more like the finished product. There we go. So that's a really thick sauce, which we'll just leave to put on top. We're oiling our pan here now as we're going to layer the moussaka. And so it's basically, each layer will be 1/3 eggplant, half lamb mince, another 1/3 eggplant, half lamb mince, the last 1/3 of the eggplant, then your bechamel sauce, and 1/3 of a cup of grated pizza cheese. So we'll just watch that kind of happen. Once you've got all the steps done, it's not really that hard. It's just all that preparation. So getting your eggplant cut and cooked, getting your lamb mince, prepared for 30 minutes, and preparing your bechamel, and then finally putting it together. So it does take a little while, but yeah, you can see that it's actually going to be quite a nice looking product, and it uses a lot of typical Greek ingredients. This is a Greek recipe, so we'll just continue to see that go together. One more layer of eggplant to go, and you can see some char grilling on that. So there's the rest of my eggplant. Now I'm putting my bechamel sauce on the top. It's quite thick. And here goes the cheese. So we're going to put it in the oven now. And that will go for about 45 minutes that it will bake. It's making me hungry, just look at it. So yeah, this is obviously not a recipe that you can cook in a practical lesson as we've discussed, but certainly you can do other things with lamb, like lamb meatballs. So now it's been 45 minutes, it's cooked, it's ready to come out of the dish. This serves 6 people, by the way. And I've got some lemon wedges there on the side as well, because I want to show you something that you could serve this with, and it's something that is quite common in Greek cuisine as well. Enjoy.